Out on the plains of North America, the crop stretches out as far as the eye can see. And when it's ready for harvesting, farmers and custom cutters alike choose their combines carefully. And it's the same wherever crops are harvested, from Texas up the wheat belt to Canada, from the corn and soybean belt of the Midwest to the rice-growing bayous of Louisiana. Massey Ferguson combines have been the pace-setters of the industry ever since the days of the first self-propelled combine. There's a tradition of excellence that goes into the design of a Massey combine, and probably as many good reasons to own one as there are satisfied owners.
We probably get a little better job done with them and more reliable than some other brands. And we can get a lot of acres cut in a hurry and maybe beat a hailstorm that way.
Capacity is number one. I like the capacity of the bigger combines. It doesn't really matter what you put them into. They'll pretty well handle it.
I can usually do just any kind of a job that I call for. I can, if the grain is tough, I can adjust it so I can do the job. And if it's too dry, I can still slow my cylinder down and my speed down and still do a good job of it.
Service-wise, they're easy to service. You know, to get ready to go in the morning, it's no big deal.
I'm pretty familiar with Massey. I like their design pretty well. They're easy to work on. They've seemed like they've got a little bit more iron in them. They're a little heavier built, a little heavier shafts. Beater shafts are heavier, and they just seem like they're just a little heavier built than any of the others. That's why I kind of like them.
Well, probably you'd have to start in the cylinder. 5 foot wide cylinder, it's quite a bit. And then they're 6 foot wide when you get back to the straw walkers. And then they've lengthened them out too.
And Massey Ferguson combines just keep getting better, like the new 850 and 860 models. Improvements in the open grate concave design provide more threshing area. Longer straw walkers allow plenty of separation area. There's better engine cooling. A choice between chain and slat or paddle elevators. A more comfortable seat. Improvements in the electronic monitoring system. And servicing convenience has been made easier than ever before. When you look at Massey's multiple model choices, you can see some real differences that help match a combine to your specific needs. The MF 850 and 860 are the combines preferred by big acreage farmers and custom harvesters all across North America. They've got big horsepower, big capacity threshing, and a multitude of outstanding features designed for continuous harvesting in the toughest conditions. Farmers who want the crop handling features of a Massey but don't need the big capacity offered in our 800 series combines rely on our MF 550. There isn't another combine in its class that can offer the features and versatility you'll find in the MF 550. When you travel the fields of the North American corn and soybean belt, you'll find Massey's Corn and Soybean Special, the MF 540. Here's the combine designed to let you harvest one crop after the other with a minimum number of adjustments in between. Harvest soybeans in the morning and corn in the afternoon, and still have time for lunch in between. Despite the rotary's claims about high capacity, they still find it hard to beat Massey's conventional method of threshing, which provides high capacity harvesting of all crops under all types of conditions. That's because Massey is constantly improving while still retaining those features that work, like the high inertia rasbar cylinder and concave, reliable Perkins engines. And then there are MF exclusives like the separate rethresher cylinder and a triple-sieve shoe that puts clean grain in your grain tank. With outstanding features like that, you can see why Massey Ferguson remains the pace-setter of the industry. When the growing season comes to an end and you're out there bringing in the harvest, every dollar you've invested in seed, fertilizer, crop control, and hours of hard work are riding on your combine. So we're going to show you how Massey Ferguson's superior design combines consistently outperform and are better buys than International Harvester, Sperry New Holland, Gleaner, and John Deere. If you've been doing some combine comparison shopping, you've probably read or heard about some of the claims from the rotary manufacturers. But let's stop a moment and examine this true or false statement. Today's rotary combines are the wave of the future. True or false? If today's rotaries are indeed the wave of the future, what's the explanation for the actions of some rotary manufacturers in their European markets? For example, New Holland sells only rotary combines in the United States, while marketing both rotaries and conventionals in Europe. Because of wet conditions there, New Holland has withdrawn their rotary combines from Northern Europe and recently introduced a new model called the 8070. The colorful brochure talks about new technology, advanced ideas, and a special drum for rethreshing the returns. When you look closer, you can see they are selling a conventional threshing cylinder, plus many of the features pioneered by Massey Ferguson. Another manufacturer that sells only rotary combines in the United States, yet still maintains a conventional line in Europe, is International Harvester. In fact, for 1981, IH is introducing 2 more conventional models in Europe. Does this really lead you to believe rotaries are the wave of the future? Hardly. Back in the United States, we can see the trend already starting to reverse. Gleaner had taken their conventional M2 combine off the market in 1980, but 1981 finds it back again. Here's another true-false statement for you. Under ideal conditions, a rotary combine will harvest just as well as a Massey. True or false? It is quite possible. However, when is the last time you harvested under ideal conditions? The main reason the rotaries are all wet is that they can't handle the moisture. When a wet slug enters a rotary combine, it stays a wet slug. The straw can mat together and sometimes wrap around the rotor like a rope. And a rotor does a poor job of evening out the crop. With unbalanced wet material, you need more horsepower to keep the rotor moving. The rotaries claim they can do a better job with corn. But if you're a multi-crop farmer or need to harvest under less than ideal conditions, you better think twice about a rotary. Fads come and fads go. In the meantime, Massey owners enjoy the benefits of the tried and proven conventional method of threshing, while MF engineers continue to do extensive research into newer and better technology to harvest your crop. And that includes the testing and development of a rotary combine, perfected for all crops and conditions.
Well, I've cut with some other brands, and they didn't have quite as much capacity, and they was broke down a lot more. And being broke down is what bothered me, because you're racing against the weather a lot of times. A hailstorm come along and wipe you out if you don't get the stuff cut pretty quick.
I just don't think they got the rotor really perfected yet, and have it so it'll stay in the field. They're all having lots of downtime with them. They're having lots of trouble. And they won't work in all conditions as favorable as the Massey. So I feel until they get one pretty well perfected, I'm going to stay with the conventional.
When you compare feature by feature against the competition, Massey Ferguson still comes out ahead. For example, take a look at Massey's cab location. It's placed high and to the left for an ideal view of the critical parts of the header. You're not seated in the dust zone over the elevator housing and cylinder. You can keep an eye on the grain bin, the unloading auger, and any grain wagons or trucks driving alongside. The cabs on both New Holland and Gleaner are placed low and in the center of the combine. When you want to see around to the side or rear, it's all done with mirrors, since the center position creates more blind spots. Inside the 800 series command modules, you have standard air conditioning, a new combine seat that's completely adjustable for the most discriminating operator, and all controls are within easy reach. With the 22-function monitoring system standard on the MF 850 and 860 combines, an accurate reading of operating functions is just a glance away. International Harvester's 7-function monitoring system hardly compares and is available only as an option.
We start out with small grain. If there's some wheat around, we combine the wheat. And then we go to beans and corn, and we change back and forth. Maybe we'll run a patch of corn, and if there's a patch of beans ready, we'll get the beans and go back to corn, maybe the same day. They're very easy to change heads. It doesn't take long to get back out. Or usually I can drop from one to, and in a half hour I'm back in the field again.
Whether you've got a rotary or conventional combine, you still need a good header to get the crop into the machine. Massey's quick attach header system can't be beat when you need to change from one crop to the other in a hurry. And it's just the beginning of Massey's consistently even feeding system. MF's floating cutter bar, rigid, or corn headers are made in sizes to suit any operation. For big acreage harvesting, there are 30-foot grain headers and 8-row corn headers. Plus, every header Massey makes is simple to adjust and easy to maintain. The larger corn headers have removable flighting with rubber paddles, replaceable with spiked teeth for efficient delivery of the crop to the elevator. The snapping rolls are adjustable to prevent plugging and provide better stalk control under adverse conditions. The snapping rolls on John Deere corn heads are non-adjustable, and neither John Deere nor Gleaner offer the replaceable parts and options we've just seen on MF corn headers. Enclosed knife drive is a standard feature on Massey Ferguson headers, something you won't find on a Gleaner. In fact, Gleaner rotary headers can pose a real problem if you want to interchange them with a Gleaner conventional, since the rotary models are offset. There really isn't any big secret behind Massey's superior threshing ability. It all depends on even feeding throughout the machine. The front elevators are the full width of the cylinder, and to provide a definite increase in capacity between the 540, 550, 850, and 860, Massey not only increases engine and grain tank size, but elevator, cylinder, straw walkers, and sieve size.
They got a good wide feeder on them, and they don't bunch it up. So many of these, that's rotors, they bring it into the center in a little wee gob and then try to feed it up in through the feeder house in a small area. And of course, I've unplugged enough combines to know that if you get a small area with a big volume, you're in trouble.
Gleaner makes 3 different rotary models, yet all 3 have the same size narrow elevator. So where does their big difference in capacity come in? In bigger horsepower and bigger grain tanks, that's where. If you have to bunch up a high moisture crop to get it through those narrow elevators, chances are they'll stay bunched up most of the way through the combine. New Holland also has a narrow elevator that has to feed 2 augers evenly. If you're in damp windrowed crops or heavy weeds, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to keep the crop from going to one rotor or bridging between the 2. International Harvester also feeds up a narrow elevator to force the crop into the auger. The auger flights are high wear components since they must change directions. So IH makes replacement sections available for their new combines. You might call this a disposable item. For smooth, even feeding into the cylinder concave area, Massey Ferguson's 850 and 860 have a front beater designed in. In addition to providing even feeding, the The front beater drives rocks and other foreign objects into a stone trap that can be emptied at your convenience. Compare this with John Deere combines, which do not have front beaters. Instead, the front of their concaves are flattened to assist feeding. This provides a place for rocks to wedge in, and without the front beater, offers no stone protection for the cylinder. When a gleaner cylinder hits a rock, a trapdoor flies open to eject the rock. When this happens, the operator must stop the combine, get out, and walk around to close the trapdoor. Not only does this waste time, but a lot of grain can be lost through the trapdoor before you get the combine stopped. New Holland has a roller in the elevator that must be set to stop rocks, yet still allow the crop through. Small rocks can still get by. When a signal light warns that the trapdoor is open, you have to stop the combine and close the door immediately, or, like the gleaner, you can lose grain. International Harvester limits the clearance under the front elevator drum to stop rocks. This causes the slip clutch to slip and also requires stopping the combine. If a 3-inch diameter flat rock damages an IH rotor, you can figure it will cost at least $1,000 to fix, since the rotor must be removed, repaired, and rebalanced. Take a moment and think about this true or false statement. All combines made in North America have high inertia cylinders. True or false? The answer is a great big false. Only Massey Ferguson offers a high inertia cylinder. Not even John Deere has such a feature, and are they green with envy? Massey's heavy-duty flywheel keeps the crop moving, assists material flow, and even when a wet slug gets thrown its way, it's able to maintain a preset cylinder speed. When the crop enters the cylinder, it is spread across the full width for even threshing. This requires a lot less horsepower than a rotary, since the crop doesn't have to be forced uphill or some other unnatural direction.
Well, I've got a neighbor that uses an International, and they can't put a chopper on their machine, and you know what a mess that leaves if they go in the green straw. It leaves bunches, and then it's kind of hard to get through in the spring with field cultivators and stuff. They plug up. That's just about the way it looks all season.
NF cylinders can be adjusted to remove the seed without chaffing the straw, so straw can be baled later. With a rotary, the crop gets spun around several times, increasing the potential for grain damage and crop wrapping. Plus, all that spinning and twisting chews up the straw, making baling very difficult. All Massey combines feature open grate concaves designed to thresh high-yielding crops efficiently. The MF 850 and 860 models have 12-bar concaves, which increases the concave arc by 10 degrees over previous models. This provides more cylinder wrap for better threshing action and increased capacity. By keeping front and rear concave settings separate, MF allows more precise control to prevent grain damage and carryover. The front setting is completely adjustable on the go from inside the cab. When you adjust a John Deere from inside the cab, you move both the front and rear settings. By opening the front, you reduce the ability of the rear portion of the concave to thoroughly thresh all the crop. Besides that, you have to go outside the cab to read the settings. New Holland makes their concaves dished at the front to assist feeding. However, little threshing gets done here. International Harvester makes switching between small grain and corn and soybeans a real challenge. In this case, the entire concave must be changed. Plus, IH has no in-cab adjustment. For this, you have to go outside on the left of the machine. To ensure that every inch of straw walker area is utilized, Massey Ferguson equips every combine with a 6-blade rotary rear beater. The beater keeps material moving out over the walkers at the same rate of speed, no matter how fast the cylinder is moving, to allow for optimum separation. The walker body is bustled on the MF 550 and 800 series combines to allow the straw to spread out. Massey open-bottom walkers and walker pan keep the walkers from plugging and prevents straw from spearing in the sieves. The newly designed straw walkers in the 800 series combines are 23 inches longer than previous models, for a total of 8,681 square inches in the 850 and 10,104 square inches in the 860. Plenty of room to separate all the seed. With the John Deere combine, the rear beater speed changes with the cylinder speed, so there is less of a chance for optimum separation on the straw walkers. Since Deere's walkers move with a 6-inch stroke, they get the material off the walkers quicker and with less shaking than Massey does with its 4-inch stroke. The result is less time for thorough separation. Little things like that make the difference between grain in the tank and grain on the ground. The rotaries claim they don't need straw walkers, so once the crop leaves the rotor, they have no chance for grain recovery. In some crops and conditions, this could be a big problem. All Massey Ferguson combines feature a grain pan to move the seed and chaff from the concave to the cleaning shoe. This simplicity of design helps reduce servicing and downtime and minimizes grain damage. Compare this with the series of augers and bevel gears used in International Harvester and John Deere combines. This results in a lot more moving parts that not only increase upkeep costs, but could damage the grain. When you want clean grain in your grain tank, Massey's Triple-sieve shoe just can't be beat. It features 3 sieves arranged in a stair-step pattern to provide a cascading action to the grain. None of the other manufacturers offers a triple-sieve cleaning shoe. It's an MF exclusive. Air from the 6-blade fans lifts the grain to prevent matting and seed carryover. An adjustable deflector in the fan housing helps spread the air over the entire shoe and prevents light seed from blowing out. Now, let's compare this to the competition. John Deere has only a 4-blade fan. Neither John Deere nor International Harvester has a deflector in the fan housing. Gleaner's squirrel cage type fan has a bad habit of plugging up, so their owner's manual recommends daily cleaning. With a conventional cylinder, 90% of the grain gets separated at the concave. And for some manufacturers, this would be enough. But as we've seen, Massey Ferguson provides features to recover that last bit of grain through the rear beater grate, the straw walkers, grain pan, and triple-sieve shoe. Massey's separate return cylinder handles any unthreshed heads. Other manufacturers dump unthreshed heads back into the main cylinder where they can be overthreshed and damaged. Gleaner's rotary models have no return system, so if they don't make it through the first time, the unthreshed heads end up back in your field.
The Perkins engine in that is very economical as far as I'm concerned. And it runs so smooth, what I like about it. There's no vibration in the cab or anything. I can usually fill the tank up in the morning, and unless I go into the night, I can get through the whole day without having to come to the fuel barrel.
When harvest time rolls around, you need a combine that can stand up to long, grueling hours in the field. That's why we put dependable Perkins diesel engines in all MF combines. You get outstanding serviceability, plus horsepower that is matched to combine size and capacity for fuel efficiency. When it comes to transmission, IH and Gleaner offer only hydrostatic drive in all their models, so you pay for it whether you want it or not. With Massey's 550, 850, and 860 combines, you have a choice of mechanical transmission or hydrostatic drive, which provides variable speed control for all field conditions. You'll make fewer stops thanks to large fuel tanks, big capacity grain tanks, and easy on-the-go unloading. The top unloading auger design, innovated and engineered by Massey, provides plenty of clearance for trucks and wagons. Since all New Holland and Gleaner combines unload from the bottom of the grain tank, there's a good chance of hitting a truck when their augers swing out. The John Deere 4420 has the same problem and must be fully extended before it can be activated.
if you go through them once or twice a year and really service them out good, spend a little time, your servicing time in the field is very minimum. The grease zerks are all in clusters together, and everything around the engine compartment is all basically right there. They haven't got tanks hidden all over the place that you have to check oil on, and everything is pretty well right where you need it. They're a good machine to service.
When Massey sets the pace for threshing capacity, we don't leave out serviceability. Everything you need to service is easy to get to, with even more hinged shields designed into the new 800 series combines. Making maintenance this simple assures that it gets done, and that means fewer service problems, less downtime, and longer machine life. When you compare against other combines on the market, you can see how Massey Ferguson remains the pace-setter of the industry. We've talked about Massey's outstanding command module, quick-attach header system, high-capacity threshing ability, triple-sieve cleaning, and servicing convenience. What really counts is how well it works in the field. And there are plenty of satisfied Massey combine owners who can tell you about that.
We kind of feel like that a lot of things that we suggest down the line has kind of helped, you know, not only us, but any other custom cutter, you know, because we see things that we know should be changed, and in a year or so we make a few suggestions, and in a year or so they come out that way. So we feel like it's kind of a team effort on our part and their part. You know, they try to develop something that'll do the job for us.
Well, I take combines every year, and from year to year I know if they've always, if you have some problems, Massey has the ability to improve that or correct it completely.
I think that all the other companies kind of compare, say I got a machine that'll go or be as good as a Massey or do as good a job as a Massey. They're always comparing it to a Massey. And they think if they get it as good as Massey, I guess it's all right.